Everyone in Longstanton knows the story of Tom Forbes. It began as a ghoulish news item in the South Cambridgeshire Recorder in December of 1962, fueled village gossip 4 months afterwards, and finally passed into local folklore. The Rev and Mrs. D.P. Goodwin were scandalized when they heard that their beloved daughter, Carolyn, had been accosted by Tom, an uncouth young farm laborer. Accosted repeatedly, in fact, and, I might add, a very enthusiastic participant in the accosting. The ever-respectable vicar forbade Carolyn from seeing Tom, but the young lovers were not deterred. Far from it, they became more determined than ever to meet and more skillful in hiding their liaisons from Caroline's parents. When he felt particularly bold, Tom would hike across the fields by night from his home on the edge of his, climb the trellis on the Caroline's bedroom window, and knock for admittance. The two would then enjoy a brief, silent but thrilling tryst before Tom made the return journey. All was well until that fateful December night. It was cold, bitterly cold. Snow had fallen, partly melted, then frozen again, encrusting the whole landscape in treacherous ice. A knife-edged wind raked across the fields, raged at doors and windows, and howled down chimneys. The prospect of a 4-mile walk across those God-forsaken fields made Tom's heart sink, but he had not seen his sweetheart for a week, and the ache of the separation made up his mind. He gathered the warmest clothes he owned, a threadbare jumper and his father's old army greatcoat, and slipped the latch on the front door. It was unimaginably cold. Every breath was a blade scraping at Tom's throat. The trees looming over the lanes were not so much frozen as petrified. Tom had the uncanny idea that if he took off his boot and knocked at one of the boughs, it would shatter like glass. The only mercy was that the ice had hardened the plowed fields, so that Tom's feet crunched across firm ground instead of sinking ankle-deep into the mud. At last, Tom arrived at the vicar. With his fingers and toes now completely numb, the climb up the trellis was perilous. But he was delighted to see Caroline at last. With growing excitement, Tom knocked at Caroline's window. Silence answered. He knocked again. The window remained obstinately closed. Tom was half frozen, clinging on to a rickety trellis in the pitch darkness, and his lady love was blissfully unaware of his plight. Desperate, Tom pulled at the edge of the pane with his numb fingertips, pushed and rattled, and eventually pulled his fist into the sleeve of his coat and smashed the glass. Lifting the latch, the wide-eyed Tom half climbed, half fell into Caroline's bedroom to find his worst fears realized. Caroline was nowhere to be found. Tom could not have known that the Rev Goodwin had quietly sent Caroline away to Norwich, to live under the watchful eye of her aunt and be free from the attentions of unsuitable young men. She was never seen in Longstanton again. Overcome by his exertions, by crushing disappointment, and, above all, by the gnawing cold, Tom collapsed onto Caroline's bed. In the morning, Mrs. Goodwin discovered him stone dead.